Well, I feel that these people who are doing these, like, who are being offended, they're harnessing fear for political purposes. I am going to harness, I want you to hear me, please. I'm going to harness love for political purposes. And sir, love will win.
Oh, God.
It's my statement on the matter.
Hello, and welcome to the QUACKCAST. This is QUACKCAST number 433. I am Ozone Ocean, and with me is Tanserine. Hi, Tans.
Hello.
Blowing a massive cloud of smoke. You didn't expect that, did you?
I didn't. I expected first.
Oh, God. And hello, Baines.
Hello.
Awesome. Oh, yes. Chance you should really not blow in his direction. That's so rude. We're talking about the...
I'm sorry about anyone.
Exactly. In this particular QUACKCAST, we're talking about a rather complex situation. Well, the problem with being called a beginner. And is it bad to be called a beginner? So this is interesting. It takes a bit of a setup to talk about this particular subject because it's based on a furore, I should say, which is the proper English pronunciation of that Italian word.
A brouhaha.
Yes, very, very good.
If you will.
A brouhaha on Twitter, which Twitter has so many of these. But this is rather interesting, and the tact Tance took with it. But before we get into that, I shall bring up the featured comic. And the feature this week was an interesting little thing called The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
You can listen to me talk about that. Hello, I'm Ozone Ocean, and my feature for this week was The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Mook's Monsters. Nothing is going right for poor Dr. Jekyll. Whatever can go wrong for the good doctor does. He gets drenched in mud, loses a high-status job, and then loses his fiancée to another man. But he's a nice guy. He holds none of that against anyone. All he wants to do is improve society and to better the lives of those around him. So, of course, he starts with himself. But the potion he drinks doesn't quite work that way. The vicious monster, Mr. Hyde, is released, ravening onto the streets of London. This is a hilarious and touching take on the classic Robbie Louis Stevenson story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It really is a very well-written piece of work. I found it a real page-turner and laughed out loud many times. The art is heavily stylized and a bit rough at times, but it is consistent and the characters stay on model. It's drawn with a pen and then digitally coloured. I quite liked it. I really enjoyed my read-through, and it's quite a gentle humour too. I love the way the characters stay true to themselves, and we don't get a really negative ending or anything like that. It's quite a positive comic. It's a very, very fun story. I would even love to see it as an animation or a movie or something like that, because it's a really, really good take on the classic Robert Louis Stevenson story, and which is out of copyright too, so we're all allowed to have our different versions of it. And yeah, this is a really good version. Alright, so I hope you like to enjoy The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Mook's Monsters, rated E. And that was the featured comic by Mook's Monsters. I hope you enjoy that. It's a very entertaining, smart, enjoyable tale. I really think she should sell that and turn it into a cartoon or a movie or something. She did really, really well with the Jekyll.
It's one of the smartest, my opinion, reimaginings. And very original, not only the concept of the fantasy, but also in the interaction of the characters, as we were talking about before.
Yes, indeed. Very intelligently done, and I love the way they stay true to their natures Well, Mr. Hyde changes a bit. He changes for the better, which is a good take on it.
Shouldn't spoil it though.
Okay, I won't spoil anything. All right. Well, let's go on with the featured music by Gun Wallace. Gun Wallace has given us the theme to Steeple Wind. Steeple Wind. That's a really interesting name for a comic, Steeple Wind. So, the way I describe this music is groove on down to a track that's smoother than satin sheets and twice as cool. Set the lights down low, pour a glass of red wine and relax. This tune leads you gently by the hand into the warmth and fantasy. Okay, so enjoy Steeple Wind. Take it away, Gun Wallace. Yay!
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 And that was our featured music. Gun Wallace, Steeple Wind. God, that's such a creative name. All right. Beginners. Beginners are evil, aren't they, Tance? Beginners are the worst kind of people. You never want to be called a beginner or associated with beginners at all.
No, never, never. How dare you?
You're saying that about Tance?
Well, yeah.
She never wants to be. Yeah.
Well, let's...
But of course not. We all know that I'm not a beginner. So...
That's right.
At anything. Tance started out as an advanced person. She started out with full maxed out levels. But before we get into that, let's just give this a bit of context. So there was this Japanese girl who likes to post art tutorials on Twitter, like a lot of artists do. It's a good way to get popular by putting art tutorials. And anyway, so she posted one particular art tutorial about the difference between the beginner and pros lines and stroke styles. And so on one end, she said, so a beginner style, you can see they have like short, unsure strokes sort of going in every single direction, and it slowly begins to make up the bigger shape because, they're not very sure about how they're drawing. When you're intermediate, the lines become more confident and slightly longer. And when you're a pro, they become really smooth and sort of go around. And people are going, what? I draw really sketchy. Does that mean I'm a beginner? Damn you, you bitch! How could you call me a beginner? I'm offended because you are mischaracterizing my style and the style of all these amazing artists around the world who draw in this style. How could you call them beginners? And, well, of course she's not actually calling them a beginner. She's just sort of characterizing particular line art styles from her own perspective. But, Tance, you've taken the tact that actually... the idea of being called a beginner and being associated with a beginner isn't an offensive thing inherently. We should all be proud to associate ourselves with beginners and to call ourselves beginners, should we not?
Yeah, because the idea of being a beginner means that you are setting out to learn something new. So just for that, for enriching yourself, being a beginner is a good thing. But also, say, I might be stretching the terminology a bit, but considering that there's a wide range of talent and skill and proficiency, as we talked about, offline, on art. There is always going to be someone that is so much better than you that by comparison you might feel you might feel that you have a ton of things to still learn, and that is that's the emotional uh, situation of the mind. I don't have any vocabulary. Okay, that you find yourself in when seeing such a more developed style.
Yes, that's what I feel when I look at the work of Iron Scarf or Fallopian Crusader. These particular artists.
God, yes,
Drunk Dark.
That's so funny. I was literally thinking of those same two.
Yes, those bastards, and this new guy who I'm following his work. He does this great comic called Android Blues. Gumwillis did the featured music for it last week, and you look at his work and you think, oh my god! What's his name? His name is Stahlberg. Oh my god! Look at his style. He's magnificent. I feel like a beginner looking at him, which is weird for me because I'm, of course, as professional as you can get. I'm a master.
And actually, you are. You know that.
Yeah, you are.
Let's not. Pretend to be humble here. Objectively, you are a professional artist, and your skill is not on the beginner level. Objectively, your skill is proficient.
Oh, thank you.
The thing is, well, that's my estimation anyway. Fight me if you want.
Fight me.
The whole idea, though, is that if you are a beginner, that is not something to be ashamed of. It's not a slur. It is only people. I mean, I feel that people that are offended by being called beginners, whether they are or not, are people that fear they might be when they seriously want to pretend or project that they are something else. And that's the problem, because by turning, and the whole Twitter culture that is starting to turn the idea that, oh, you are a beginner, so you don't count, your art sucks. Well, that's the idea, like beginner equals terrible art, which also is false. Beginner might turn out excellent pieces that are very, very good, very correct artistically and stuff like that. But the big difference is that they will take quadruple time to get the artwork to look the way it does. And they might need a lot more reference. They might not know shortcuts, might not know certain things that a more proficient artist will. So will be more efficient in creating the work. What I'm trying to say is that beginner doesn't mean that they are drawing stick figures. It means that they are learning the craft. They are learning the things that they should know in order to produce more efficiently.
Well,
and that also involves anatomy and a whole array of things.
Yeah, and we've talked about the idea before that the fact that professionals and amateurs rather than beginners, see, because an amateur is a different thing from a beginner. There's a different range of skills that are needed, and professionals aren't necessarily the best at something. They're just better at producing things efficiently to get the result they need, because they have to do it for a whole lot of different reasons to what an amateur does, in that, time is money. So you have to produce things more efficiently and faster, not necessarily better. An amateur has more freedom to perfect things and to get far better than a professional at different aspects of something. So yeah, there's terminology is strange, but also that's not just terminology. That's the fact that different things are required for different objectives slightly. I mean, you're still doing art, but you're doing it for different reasons.
There's also such a thing of being proficient in certain elements and beginner in others. Like, for example, might be proficient in the human form, being able to draw the human in any stance or whatever, but be a beginner in lighting or shading, or things like this.
That's exactly true. There are a lot of expert comic artists who are brilliant at drawing the human form, but they cannot draw guns or tanks or vehicles or architecture. And that's across the board. It's very rare for an artist to be good at everything, like a Mobius. That particular artist was an expert at absolutely everything. But most artists, no matter how great they are, they're a beginner at one particular thing, or, a whole bunch of things. Very few of us are proficient at everything. Like, I'm terrible at figures.
Exactly. And that aside, though, the thing that alarmed me, as I said in the video that we have for our patrons, where you can see me blowing smoke.
And your waves of amazing auburn hair.
Yes, I have all of that. So what I said was that you have implosions in Twitter every day, and it's your own drama. What do you want to see? Do you want to watch complaining and others arguing and blah blah blah? It's the drama of social media that you can get very easily, very quickly. It's drama fast food in Twitter. However, the problem that happened with this particular situation was that they are starting to make it sound that offering advice, offering approaches, if you like, to art is taboo. Because if you dare imply certain methods or certain tactics or certain ways of going about creating your art might not be top-notch, that is offensive. That's the problem, because then you are basically kneecapping the creative process and the evolving of artists into better artists, no matter what their start of country, because everyone can become better, no matter how good they are already. And that's what alarmed me, and I wanted to write about it. That was the biggest issue.
Yes, exactly. We should be encouraging a culture of learning and improvement and sharing from both perspectives, the learning and the teaching. So people must be willing to feel free about offering advice as well as taking it, rather than thinking, no, I can't offer advice because I might offend, or no, I can't take advice because that will put me in this lower position to this other person. And that cannot be. So, yeah, unfortunately, these... Oh, go on, Tant, sorry.
No, sorry. You go on.
I was saying, yeah. No, I was just summing up what I was saying, repeating it.
not every advice that you're going to find, the tips that artists give might be what works for them, and it might not work for you. But the artist is sharing how they are doing what they're doing. And it is up to you to pick and choose what works for you. And the thing also is that she put out this image that was like a page from a tutoring book, let's say. She wasn't addressing it to anyone, nor was she bringing someone's art as an example. She was actually recreating stages of different levels of line work and stuff. It was her own art displaying and illustrating what her point was. So, taking offense at this personally, oh my God, this thing that isn't addressing me is actually offending me personally. And so now I have to go and harass this person until they delete their Twitter. They are eliminated. So, now they don't exist anymore. So now I feel safe again.
Yeah.
This is bad.
Well,
this is bad.
That is bad. Yeah, very bad.
Yeah, because on social media, not just Twitter, on social media, we do have a culture of taking things rather literally and then piling on. And so what she's done is she shows 3 different examples. So and she characterizes them each in a specific way. So for the short, sketchy lines, this is typically what a beginner does. For medium, smooth lines, this is someone who is, intermediate. And for the professionals, they're characterized by very long and lean and confident lines, much less line work. And I
have to also add that it's the same exact design, like it's the same hands. Position, might I add, to draw. So she's not saying that you cannot draw a hand perfectly.
She's just commenting on the line work.
Exactly.
But the thing is, her perspective, the way she has characterized that, is not exactly correct. That because you use shorter lines, that does not, really characterize a beginner versus someone who's experienced. But that was true from her perspective, all right, from the way she thinks about it, which does not make her an evil person, and does not mean she's calling people out as being beginners and stuff like that. This was just her own perspective, because some professionals do draw with long, confident lines, and there are plenty who don't. So that is more, there is more to do with personal preference there, and being stuck in a style, because once you learn to draw a particular way, not all of us will, update and change. Some of us will always stick to what we started off doing. So just to get that out of the way, but this is her own perspective, and it's not good to sort of associate yourself with one of her characterizations and then attack her for it. That's like looking at horoscopes, astrology, and thinking, or that stupid Myers-Briggs test. Oh, an IJN kind of thing. Yeah, that's me. And if someone says, "Oh, but if you're this particular personality, that means you're evil," and you look at that and think, "Oh, but I am that personality, but I can't be evil. It's a made-up thing. You are the problem here. You're the one associating yourself with this thing. It's irrelevant, really. You should really look at what the person's saying and why they're saying it, rather than putting yourself into this position, which is the problem. Like Tance is saying, you're characterizing yourself as a beginner or attacked because of the way this is being depicted. Don't do that.
Yeah, and I also have to add that in that particular example, I do tend to lean towards agreeing with her in the element that as you gain experience, you might not go in, long flowing lines that create immediately, in 3 lines you create a masterpiece. But what you will tend to do is that the line itself, whatever its length, is going to be more confident. The way that you wield your pencil is going to be uh, more comfortable for you, and you are going to be faster and more efficient, whatever that means. And that's why I also see even added a little footnote saying that long flowing lines isn't your goal; it's that you are going to be confident, and that's what he was trying to illustrate. The thing is, though, that the people that take offense at being called beginners also have this other element of not wanting to improve. They just don't want to be labeled as that such. So usually, if you are called out as a beginner about something and you want to improve in general, you might not like it, but you are going to try and improve or whatever, that sort of thing. You are going to go harass the other person if you don't want to change the way you are doing things, but you also want to drag them in terms of their opinion of your work. And sort of argue your way into convincing them that you are a professional when they don't think you are, for whatever reason. Whether they are right or wrong, it's a different discussion. So that again speaks of insecurity. That again speaks that you are not confident in what you're doing. Because if you are, you know that your art is not going to appeal to everyone. There are going to be some people that are going to find your art, for example, simplistic or, amateurish or, you name it. These are adjectives that have been thrown at extremely famous painters, for example. It's not something that is reserved only for, the unknowns on the internet. But if you know that, and if you have chosen that, okay, this is how I like doing things and I like what I create, then you are not going to take that level of offense. It's not going to hit a nerve, as I'm saying. It doesn't mean that you will like it, but you are not going to get into exploding mode and go
exploding mode.
Yes, nuke the other person out of existence because they dared say something.
Well, okay, we haven't heard much from Baines here. Baines, you there?
Hi.
You brought up the example before when we were talking about writing advice as well. So you see this advice for beginner writers, like 10 things that beginner writers do.
Yeah, I love those videos. I haven't watched a ton of them, because I don't want to be upset, insulted like that. So I just make a complaint to YouTube and try
to get them demonetized and
deplatformed. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just the opposite. Like I see those videos and they're very appealing to me. Like it's kind of like, well, I like writing. I'm working on that, and so I see like 5 things or 10 things that, show you to be an amateur writer. It's like, okay, well, if you're trying to sell your stuff, if you're trying to get published, if you're trying to get a readership, even self-published, like I'd want to know, even if I disagree with some of the points, I want to watch those videos and get some insight and see is there something I do regularly that like a bajillion quote unquote amateurs do or beginners do? And yeah, there is. Usually I do all the things on those lists, but maybe not all. But I think it's a worthwhile perspective to have, and it's great to have that, to get that insight, even if, like I said, even if you disagree. It's so strange to me to be offended by that at all. Mm-hmm. So I just really don't get it at all.
Oh, really?
added there, and please go on as you were talking. So.
No, I wasn't. I was just responding to Baines. But no, you actually had
Yeah,
something
well,
to say.
respond.
No, I just said, oh, really? That's all. That's.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. I also said that like I consider myself a proficient writer. I don't want to say professional because professional doesn't mean necessarily that you are a proficient anything.
But you
You are
literally
just,
are professional, though, because you get paid for doing what?
that's
Writing.
true.
So that you are professional.
Yes. But the reason I don't want to say this, yes, I'm a professional writer. I have, published books and blah, blah, blah. Okay. But that doesn't mean that I am necessarily proficient. Okay. So proficient means that you have a mastery on the particular craft, whatever that means. Okay. So I consider myself a proficient in writing. So in creative writing and also nonfiction. I love watching these videos. And there are certain times that I don't agree with what they're saying for various reasons. But I don't get an urge, to go and attack the creators and castigate them or crucify them or whatever.
Yeah.
I just choose not to agree and discard that particular piece of advice or tip or whatever it is. And the others that I agree with, I consider them, I take them, let's say. So if you are proficient anything, you generally tend to not be ruffled very easily because you feel secure in your position in what you do and what you don't do. And whether others tell you that, oh, but this is not the rule, because also when you are proficient, you may end up, bending some rules or diverging from the rules in general or the format or whatever it is that is considered, the norm, how things are being done. You know why you are doing this. You know how the rules work. And so you can then know how you are doing it. So you aren't ruffled when you are being told, oh, yeah, but you're not doing it this way, which is the mainstream or the rule or the textbook or, call it as you like, because you know why you are not taking that particular route.
Yeah.
And case in point, either as a beginner or as a proficient person, you shouldn't have this ruffled personality of going out attacking people for not agreeing with the way you do things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
And I'm totally fine with someone in the comments or whatever disagreeing with whatever point is being made in an article or in a video, whatever, of course. Like if I really felt or if anyone really felt like, no, I think that's completely wrong, or I disagree, or I half agree. Like if you have a counterpoint or whatever, of course, like go ahead and say it. Like, that's fine. But
well,
it's
that's
even
very
a good
big
thing.
of you.
I know, it's nice of me. Yeah, I'm a good guy.
Magnanimous fellow. You
I just
remind
want
me
to
of...
make sure. I just want to make sure I'm not saying like no one is allowed to disagree with anything. Like, or if you feel your group of people is being painted in a certain way and you disagree with it philosophically or whatever, of course, I'm into people voicing what they think. But I take a lot of these articles, even the ones who are maybe a little off base. I haven't seen many that don't make sense to me at all in the stuff I've seen. But, like even things that might be a little off base or you might have a small disagreement with, like a lot of this stuff is helpful. It's good food for thought. And
really?
Yeah.
Well,
Kent's covered it well. I know it's obvious.
I will always look at things like how to draw manga. Damn it. I'll look at those. how to draw books, really simplistic ones.
I look at how to pronounce it.
How to pronounce it, yeah. I'll look at them and think, oh, God, these are just stupid. Like, if someone gives me, like when I was younger, like a well-meaning relative would always think, oh, Michael likes to draw. I'll give him this how to draw book. That'll be a good gift. Now I would think like, oh, this is like an insult. It's like, how could you give me this how to draw crap?
And those are for sale in bookstores, right? Like volumes and volumes of those.
Yeah, well, it's a good way for an artist to make money.
Well, totally, yeah.
So yeah, when I was younger, that was just an anathema to me, or anathema. Damn it. Did you know the word anathema could either be pronounced with an "an" in front of it or just it by itself? Bit of trivia there. You can either say that is an anathema or that is anathema.
Second sounds better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But both are correct, weirdly. Yeah.
The second sounds better.
You're a beginner if you say it the other way.
First one sounds like you're stuttering.
A total beginner. Anyway, I love those things when it's about, like, you know, Baines is talking about the bad writing, because I know that I am a crap writer, so I don't have that ego there. That's not a problem, because I've been drawing for all my life, and, you know, I've had formal training, and I, you know, work professionally as a graphic artist and stuff like that. I can have ego problems with drawing and painting, you know, imagery. That definitely is there, just as a side effect of working in it for so long. So it's hard to get past that. But for things like writing, where I know I am an absolute beginner, that ego is not something I have a problem with. So I find it very entertaining to watch things about the mistakes that beginner writers do, and very elucidating to me.
I could see that difference. I mean, for my part, I take writing seriously. I have done some training in it, and
okay.
I wouldn't call myself extra proficient. I wouldn't consider myself a pure beginner, but I can't imagine being offended by anything I read. I mean, if someone was critiquing my own stuff, that would be completely different. They're allowed to do it, and I think it would be very mature of me to take it. But I could get more upset over something like that. And,
yeah, absolutely.
Not insensitive, you know, it's different. But just seeing a public article out there about the subject in general, I can't imagine being upset at all or offended at anything.
Really? This is the internet we're talking about. We're meant to take everything personally. That's how it goes.
Yeah,
exactly.
If people say tall hats are for idiots, you look at that and think, God, they think I'm an idiot. I like the tall hat ones.
The thing is also that sometimes some advice is going to be obviously wrong. Okay.
Yes.
There is no way for every piece of advice out there to be right. But the thing is, you should be in a position to experiment, to use trial and error, and not feel that you have to compare yourself against the rod that any particular tutorial or how to word tips list is presenting to you. That would be very counterproductive, because you will be naturally wary and not wanting to read these things, because immediately you are comparing yourself, like an evaluation. I get an F in writing or in design stuff, and oh my God, I'm terrible. You know, this is not going to help the creative process, which is another element that we talked about, that, you know, touching upon in this podcast, is that maybe the way that you are presenting a tutorial may or may not raise people's hackles in a way. So for example, you say beginner versus professional, people might be touchy about it, especially if they try to appear as professionals in order to get commissions, to get a position in some company or whatever it is, and they feel that what you are presenting as a beginner is going to characterize them in a negative light, so they are gonna, go ballistic over it. Still don't believe that it should be done, but anyway. So what you could do is just focus on the goal rather than on the other end of the spectrum. So you could say, like, this is how you can tell that someone's line work is professional, and just focus on that. Have people, uh, compare themselves to how professional they are, as opposed to how beginner they are. It's a play of perception, but it can help a lot.
Yes.
If you're afraid of harassment.
Yes, you don't, like, you would drop out the other two levels. So you drop out number 1 and 2 and just have number 3, which is showing this is how professionals tend to draw. But I mean, really, if you get right down to it, the image really isn't any help as a tutorial sort of thing. It's just an observation. So because it's not like
as a tutorial per se, I think it was meant as an urging to monitor your confidence with line work and stuff like that. I didn't observe I didn't read the entire thread because I couldn't. She had deleted everything, and this was the image that other people had saved and re-uploaded in order to, have their fight.
Right, basically. Which is dangerous because it's taking it out of the context with which it was in. So it's easier to make attacks against something when it's out of context.
Exactly.
Always easier.
I want to also make out another point. We talked about it again before, that sometimes being a professional doesn't mean that you're going to be, as I said, proficient, or you're going to be giving good advice. And I wanted, and I talked about a line, a quote by the writers of Game of Thrones, who said something that is fundamentally wrong. And not just a proficient writer is going to think that. Any textbook on any kind of creative writing is going to tell you that. What they said was that themes in creative writing, all kinds, are for 8th graders. And only get the A's in some kind of class. I don't know. I don't remember exactly the exact quote. But, that themes are for kids. And if you are looking for a theme, you are a silly little immature little being. Kid. Which, of course,
see, I can't believe they said that. That is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I was extremely surprised to hear it as well.
Like that, I'm not offended by that, but I think they deserve to be mocked, and I'm sure they are being mocked.
Yes.
Isn't that a case of like saying, almost like, oh, someone said you haven't got themes, so you're a beginner, and them thinking. I mean, I'm not saying people said that, but it's like that, and them going on the attack because of it. Oh, themes? Only an 8th grader would have those in the work.
Exactly. That's exactly the reaction. It's like, this is my style. I don't use themes in my writing.
Yeah, and of course, the absolute. Yeah,
it's like saying using perspective in art is for 8th graders.
Yes, exactly.
It's kind of like that.
And of course, the best writers who literature has produced have found things with very clear themes and interesting themes.
It's not the same. Go ahead, Tess.
Oh, I'm gone.
I was just going to say, like, they might be mean something else. They might be talking about like a story, like a parable, or a story with a really obvious kind of moral or something like that. But that's really, if you looked into writing at all, even a little bit, that's not what a theme is.
Yeah.
A theme is like subtext. A story is kind of about something under the surface.
Exactly. But
usually it's sort of a vague something or series of somethings, but generally speaking, there's some kind of theme to everything that has any kind of emotional resonance to it.
But if they understood
some kind of theme.
If they understood it in that level, though, in the obvious kind of level, that means they actually are beginners, or they actually are inexperienced.
Well, Tans knows.
Well, not beginners, but they have stuff to learn, Because how could you imagine that was what was meant by themes, that more childish style of writing?
Yeah, I think this is like, they said it as a self-defense thing, and I don't want to steal Tans's insight on this. She said it on the Patreon video.
Because one of the main criticisms of the writing of the 8th season, and it's not wrong, okay, is that it completely destroys all the themes that were being built up to then, and that it actually creates no real meaning for all of the story, like from season 1. Everything just amounts to nothing really. It's a bad thing that falls on its face. So I think that really they were just trying to defend their choices and the fact that they did what they did, more than actually thinking that there is no theme in creative writing.
Yeah. It would be so ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, it's what they say, the best form of defense is attack, isn't
it? Right.
So, don't, like in art, there are many ways that you can get to where you want. There are extremely many ways to become efficient. Don't try to defend the way that you are in a way that will stop you from progressing, which is what seems to be the case, especially with what happened, because the idea wasn't that. The idea was that this is my style and I'm going to do things this way. And usually the people that, like 100% of the people that attacked this girl and placed her away from Twitter were people with art at, how shall I put it, improvement.
In need of improvement.
Yes.
B minus.
Yes. So you could see that. I mean, this girl had something like 8,000 followers or something like that, or 3,000. In the thousands. It was in the thousands. And she was harassed by like 15 people for 48 hours. And all these 15 people could take improvement, especially the line work. So that. Don't be that person.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh well, yeah. Don't pile on to others on social media. That's just wrong.
It will hurt you more than them because they will keep improving. You, on the other hand, will not. So.
Yes. Well, those kind of people, they chalk that down to their little victory, and they think, got another one, making the world a better place. One, hated Twitter user at a time, taking them offline. Oh, geez, I feel so good about myself now, and my drawing's even better because I've defended someone who I think hated me. Oh, not defended my position against them.
If I get all artists out of Twitter, then I will be, the Michelangelo of Twitter.
Exactly. The best artist ever. That's how you become the best artist, by killing off all your detractors.
Exactly. If you are the only artist, you are also the best.
how it works.
We just wrote a suspense mystery outline. Right there.
That would make a nice.
Not a bad story. Yeah,
The last artist on Earth, the best artist,
shutting down critics. Permanently.
I'm not gonna say that. That's a bad taste. I'm gonna write it though later.
Oh yeah, it's a good idea.
It's yes, it is what it is. Yes.
I will say, I look at that terrible writing advice video series. I think Oz, you told me about it initially.
Oh, that guy, he's brilliant.
There's so much. Yeah, he's good, and there's so much that he says that I'm like, oh, I do that. I do that all the time.
Oh,
like
really? I'm gonna link to that guy in the QUACKCAST. I'm gonna link to that.
Terrible writing advice.
Oh, I love his accent. He has
you have to have a love triangle.
The love triangle. I love his voice. What is his voice?
What is his voice?
Oh,
the chosen one.
The chosen one. We have a user on Drunk Duck who has that exact voice.
Oh yeah.
What is his name? So a Patreon.
Gene joke.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. Sounds nothing like that.
He is our... Damn it, how could I forget it? He's going to be really insulted that I forgot his name.
Yeah, he's our friend. He's been on the show. I know who you're talking about.
Yes, he's the one who helped us save Drunk Duck when
it
went offline. God's sake, he is our founder. He's not our founder, but he's our essential member.
But the point being, like that show
just
has
no
a lot
point.
of...
Just no point. He has
just
the
no
same
point.
accent. Yes. Sorry, Bane. Sorry. Bane.
Yes. That's okay. I was just going to sort of get us back to that. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there that I do. And I have like outlines I'm doing, like, oh, I'm working on this. I got this storyline with blank in it. Then I'll watch an episode of that, and it's like he just dissected everything I was gonna do, and apparently everything I was thinking was terrible.
Bad
like,
writing advice.
Sometimes, like sometimes it's in the details, you know. Like you sort of have the basic archetypes that you work with, whether it's characters or plots. And it's kind of like it's in the tone and the details and everything, and your conflicts that you choose to. And yes, Benioff and Weiss, your themes that you're working with that makes it work. You know, that doesn't mean like shut that bad writing advice down and say like, well, no, everything I'm doing is great or something like that. And what he says is invalid.
I'm not a bad writer. You're a bad writer.
It's like I might disagree with some of what he says, or I might just be like, well, okay, maybe this is bad technically, but I'm still going to do it. And maybe other times they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I need to improve.
Well, the way he does, has these bad writing advice videos is that he doesn't do it in like a hectoring kind of way or say, now this is bad writing and this is good writing. He doesn't have that. It's all jokey and funny. So if you can identify with it as oh God, I do that, you don't immediately go on the defensive because it's all comical and humorous. So it's a pleasure to listen to. Yeah, you don't automatically go on the defensive, get angry. It's fun to hear all the different bad things that he talks about. So yeah, I like watching that, and I'm going to give a link to the people on the QUACKCAST. So hopefully you'll go and watch those videos too, because they're very valuable. Yeah. Well, I think we've covered most of the stuff.
Sorry, man, I had something to deal with there. Yeah, I didn't hear you. I had to go deal with something.
Okay. Oh well, yeah.
I saw someone saying something I disagreed with, so I had to go over and start an argument with them.
Shut them down.
Shut them down.
Well, I always do that online. That's what you do. That's how you
I
interact.
did it in real life. It was my neighbor. I went running over there. I overheard a conversation I didn't like.
Overheard a conversation.
I cancelled him.
Cancelled, exactly. Yeah, he's cancelled.
Okay, that's a euphemism.
Yeah.
You
Thing is,
deplatformed him. Literally,
Exactly.
with extreme prejudice.
yes. Calling him all sorts of names and stuff.
Exactly.
So anyway, the thing that I would implore people to take from all of this discussion and even ramblings, if you like, especially I ramble a lot in these things, is that being a beginner is not a slur. Don't use it to shame people, and take what advice you feel you can benefit from. Leave the others, and don't get on the defensive about these others that you feel do not express you, or you feel that they are outright wrong. At all.
Yeah.
You.
Definitely. I agree. Be proud to be called a beginner. Actually, I'll give a little anecdote here. My sister and I learned how to horse ride years and years ago. We went to riding camp and we learned how to horse ride. And so a little while after that, we went for like a trail ride. Well, not a trail ride. You could hire horses and you could go and ride around paddocks and stuff like that. And my sister, being a bit more arrogant and probably on a bad example of what we're talking about, said to the people, yes, I'm an expert. I'm proficient. I know what I'm doing. Give me a horse for an advanced rider. And I came up to them and said, look, I'm not really that confident in my abilities. Just give me, a calmer horse. That's what I'll have. And what happened was she got a very fractious, quite wild horse, and I got quite a calm one. And she couldn't control her horse. It was just too wild for her. So she was really nervous on it, and it scared her and wouldn't do anything she wanted. So we actually swapped horses because I was just a bit more confident than her on it. And yeah, but that's the problem with saying you're all advanced and you're super confident. You'll get put in a situation that you might not be able to handle. So
Exactly.
yeah, be careful with that. Though I will say I had a brilliant time on the fractious, more advanced horse. It was great fun.
But yeah, always keep in mind that you will appear beginner to someone, no matter how good you are. There will be someone that will consider you still green in whatever it is you are creating stuff. So the thing is for you to keep improving and never feel that, okay, now I am proficient, now I am a master, there is nothing else I can learn. I have reached the ceiling, and whoever says otherwise, I'm going to scrag. Don't.
There's always further to go. All right, well, let's wrap it up then. Thank you very much for listening to the Beginner Cast.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Beginner Cast number 433. Goodbye.